Welcome to The Real with Joseph Labman. I am Joseph Labman. Thank you for tuning in this episode of The Real, taking time out of your day to come watch this episode. I really appreciate that. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe for me. I'd really appreciate that as well. That's the best way you can support this channel and help me grow my content and grow this channel to where I'd like it to be. Everybody hit the like button for me on the way in on this video today. That also helps promote this video more in the algorithms, helps grow this channel more as well. Please share this content. I would really appreciate that. My guests would as well. If you would please share this episode with someone you know that maybe is interested in the topic we're talking about today. Please leave a comment below as well. We'd love to hear your guys' feedback. You can interact with myself and the guest on the panel and the live chat as well. Whatever we're talking about, just leave a comment there in the live chat. Pop in and say hello. We'll put it on the screen for you. And yeah, without further ado, let's get to the show. Welcome back to The Real with Joseph Labman. I am Joseph Labman with my co-host tonight. You know him now from the professional fan, the professional Mike. Mike, what's happening?
Tis I, professional Mike, joined by professional Tara this evening. And professional Molly is right there. You can almost see her. How you doing tonight, Joseph?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm ready to get in some sports tonight. Obviously got a loaded show tonight. We're gonna have Jersey joining us here shortly. He's gonna break down Ohio State football and his take on it. Can't wait to hear that. You'll hear from Mike as well about Ohio State. You heard me the other night at midnight, so I already gave my take. But yeah, we're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into a little bit of Mike Tomlin as well. Because Mike Tomlin will be leaving Pittsburgh. We're gonna discuss that here in a little bit as well. But first, we're gonna start off tonight, as you guys saw in the open. As you can see here, the Cleveland Browns had the number 2 overall pick in this upcoming NFL draft in April. There's been a lot of speculation, a lot of rumors on what they'll do. Will they trade down from 2? Will they stay at 2 and take Shador, Cam Ward? But a lot of people think maybe they should trade down, or will they just stay at 2 and take best player available? Maybe it's at Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter, Mason Graham. Browns have a lot of options. Obviously, they have a lot of needs they need to fill. Coming off a 3-win team, this 3-win season, they got a lot going on. A lot of change internally as well. Is Paulie Podesta actually gone now? Is not as much influence anymore? I don't know. I'm curious to see what Mike has to say about that here in a second. And also, we need a quarterback as well. So a lot of things this offseason the Browns have to get done. But as you can see there in the thumbnail, I brought up maybe could they trade down to number 6 with the Raiders? Possibly. That's been a big speculation that the Raiders may want to jump up and get Shador Sanders. Even speculation that Dion might even become the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. Well, I'll get to that in a little bit, who I think could take that job, and it might have been somebody's name I've already mentioned. So a lot to get into tonight, but Mike, going back to you, number one, what have you maybe heard or read or anything? What's your opinion of Paulie Podesta now? Obviously, I've gone in on him all year pretty hard a little bit. Not personal, but, just breaking down how I see it.
Right.
I know a lot of people have as well. Do you think he's fully involved like he has been with drafts? It's been pretty clear and evident, which I showed from videos in the past, that a lot of first rounds, he's the first guy out there discussing the pick. You hear his name's always Jimmy has even said this year he's pretty involved in everything, and they want to re-sign him. This is back in August. It sounds like, though, Mike, that maybe he's been kind of phased out a little bit. I know was Anthony Lima mentioned that on the radio back in November. He's heard maybe that he's getting phased out, and that maybe Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry, especially Stefanski, finally has full say over everything, full autonomy. So I'm curious, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's probably the most in-depth report that we have, is that he has just been completely phased out of the organization, just having more of a consultant role, if anything. But a lot of reports are stating now that he might have been one of the lead architects in the Deshaun Watson trade, even to the point of like the one that suggested it. So obviously we see where we're at now with that. And if that is in fact the case, it doesn't surprise me as to why the Browns are deciding to like cut ship with him. And just give back all power to the coach and the GM, and which would also explain as to why like there was never a question as to why they were safe essentially, because like the blame never truly fell on them. So that's an interesting narrative too. Is like how much did Kevin have a say in it? Was it like, I mean, I'm sure if Paul did come up to Kevin and was like, "Hey, we want you to coach this guy," I mean, he probably just went like, "Yeah, sure." He
Right.
wasn't, but he wasn't the one that brought forth the idea, and it sounds like more and more that was DePodesta. And since it's the fact, in case I don't blame them at all for cutting their losses, and I don't know how many picks he was truly involved with, but I know this last draft he was the least involved for a very long time, and it looks to be a pretty okay draft so far. But
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's obviously a big part of it because his involvement. I think you and I both agree, and a lot of people agree that you probably should let your head coach that has more football, more of a degree in football than he ever will, make the decisions. And Andrew Barry, you got to trust your two guys you hired to give them full autonomy. I think back to this report too from this is from Tony Grossi back in 2022, where it talked about how essentially they're at the bottom. Stefanski's job is safe because he is completely adhering to DePodesta's advanced statistics or analytics models and not resisting them. And obviously, it goes on to say if he disagreed with them, basically he'd get fired. But up in the top there, like you said, Mike, that Paul DePodesta has pretty much convinced owner Jimmy Haslam that the only way to build a Super Bowl team is by consistently throwing explosive plays in the passing game. And then it went on to talk about as well that Stefanski and Alex Van Pelt will insist that they wanted to keep the same offense, the run game, which worked, which even Myles Garrett and all the players said after the season worked as well. And so it's refreshing to hear based on reports that they're letting those guys take back because, like, I totally agree with you. I think it was DePodesta, Jimmy Haslam really pushing Deshaun stuff the most. They wanted the air raid attack in 21. They said Baker's not the guy. Let's move on and let's revamp everything. Let's go give this guy 200 something, 30 something $million when he hasn't played football in 2 years, and mentally he's got not the same. And obviously it's been a disaster. So it's good to see now they're getting back to what really worked, what got them to the divisional round. So I agree with you on that. And I'm curious to see where they go from here. I'm actually excited a little bit to see, and curious to see what these guys come up with now that they have full autonomy.
I agree. And another thing I want to add is I'm sure it also helped the decision is most of these teams that are in the postseason, or at least have had turnaround seasons, like I know the Chargers just got absolutely embarrassed in their first playoff game. But I mean, for the most part, Harbaugh went back to like a run first offense with the Chargers and turned them back into, I think they finished 10-7 after missing the playoffs last year, and they went right back to the playoffs. So you see a lot of teams reverting back to a run first. I mean, the Eagles, invested heavily in Saquon Barkley, and we see he's an MVP candidate. The Ravens probably have their best shot at a Super Bowl because they did sign Derrick Henry. So it's funny how the NFL, the new stuff is always just reverting back to what used to work. Two high safeties become prevalent in the NFL, so teams are going to be paying running backs more.
And two high safety never
natural progression.
Yeah, and it's not like, and two high safeties never gone. It's always been around in the game. It's just I think teams, it's like basketball or all the other sports. It's monkey see, monkey do. You know what I mean? It's like Pat Mahomes comes in and starts throwing the ball over the lot. Oh, we got to get the next Pat Mahomes, or we got to get somebody can launch the ball, or get Lamar. Or, it's like in basketball, the Warriors duped everybody. We got to get guys that could shoot a ton of threes, but you don't have the personnel to do it, right? Like you don't have the personnel you don't have Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and Kevin Durant. Sorry, you can't shoot it like them, but you got to play to your strengths. And yeah, I totally agree with you. And that's our strength, and it helps out your defense too. Your defense was elite when they had a good running team, a team that could run the ball, and But shout out to Tori's in the house. Great to see you again, Tori. Deion Sanders said he's not allowing his son to go to Cleveland. Yeah, I saw that too from 2018, and there was another report too. I mean, I'm not surprised. I don't think he would let him here either. But if I'm the Browns, I don't really care because I don't really want him either. That's just me. I don't want any of those two quarterbacks. We'll get in there in a second. We should get Kirk Cousins and draft Travis Hunter. Well, you know what time it is, Mike. It's mock draft.
Break out the
So-
mock.
Break out the mock. So we're gonna get into it here. What should the Browns do? And so here you go. Mike's gonna help me with some of this, with a lot of it, because he's really studied a lot. So we're gonna do a 7-round mock, Mike.
Mhm.
We're going to pick number 2.
Yep.
We got turbo speed. We're going to enter that draft.
And we'll probably go through a couple scenarios. So actually, Tori, to your point, I mean, I've seen other reports where Dion's been on Twitter saying, oh, you're going to read a bunch of stuff about where I want my son to play this, that, and the other. It's not factual, is basically what he's been saying. I know the report, like Joseph had mentioned, from 2018, where he said that he wouldn't want anybody to go to Cleveland.
Well, he was on a podcast the other day too, and he did kind of make a point at the end that he would intervene for certain situations. He's
right,
trying to, but
and here's the other thing: is Shedeur isn't good enough for Dion to be making these wild, like Eli Manning-esque, like demands, if you will. Shedeur Sanders, my pro comp for him after like charting him and watching a lot of tape, is Teddy Bridgewater. I really think that best case scenario for him is Teddy Bridgewater. And that's not a knock, it takes a lot to become Teddy Bridgewater. I don't see, he's not a great athlete. You're kind of worried about how his durability and the things that he likes to do in the collegiate level going to the pros. So I'm not as sold on any of these quarterbacks, which is kind of why we're going into the trade down function.
Yeah.
So
and let's get into it here, because I agree with you. I think you got to get a quarterback who fit your system. And so let's start draft here. We'll see what the Titans take. Titans go Cam Ward at number 1.
Cammy.
So here we are, Mike. We're sitting here at number 2. We got Travis Hunter on the board. We got Abdul Carter, Ted McMillan, Mason Graham, Ashton Genty, even Will Johnson, Will Campbell.
So
let's go to the trades, right?
Yeah. Do we have any offers?
Yeah. So we have Vegas popped right up immediately.
Okay, so we'll trade with Vegas. We'll.
So you're trading down.
Yeah, I'm trading down. So if given the opportunity, I'm trading down with either New York or Las Vegas, because at the end of the day.
Well, I was to say, we break this down too. Now Vrabel is with the Pats.
New England.
They may go defense, because I don't know. But let's say we trade here with Vegas. Vegas is going to take Shedeur. The Giants probably take Travis Hunter because they need a DB. And then I think, who do you think the Patriots? It depends on who you want. So do you see a difference between Abdul Carter and Mason Graham? You happy with either one?
I'd be happy with either one. I would even be happy with a Will Johnson or an Ashton Genty at 6, as long as we get a blue chip player. Like I said, both of the top 2 quarterbacks, Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders, both have huge question marks for them. Cam Ward is QB1 in this draft, and if this were last year's draft, he would be QB5. This is very reminiscent to me of the 2022 draft, where I think just because there are extremely quarterback needy teams and all the smoke around Shedeur, and they wanting to find the guy in Tennessee, that I wouldn't be surprised if Tennessee picks Cam Ward. Cam Ward definitely has some of the intangibles you want to see. He's got a big arm, but unfortunately he doesn't play well within structure. And that is the last thing the Browns want after suffering through the Deshaun Watson era.
To me, he misses too many layups. Mechanically, his ball security is not. I don't like the way he holds the ball in the pocket. He's got a big wind up. Doesn't really like to sit in the pocket. A little smaller in size in terms of height. He's about 6'2", which isn't terrible. I think he has he probably has the most upside in this draft, but I don't think he would fit here. And I don't feel comfortable with Cam Ward. I know everybody wants the heroic guy that can sling the ball over a lot, but you got to get a guy that can fit your offense, number one. You got to get a guy that you feel comfortable with, and a guy that you can build with long term. I didn't like the whole second half thing either. And people, any competitor, I don't know you like that, but that's just me.
I wouldn't be shocked, believe it or not, if the Jets are in play for wanting to trade up as well when we get closer to the draft. So I could see the Titans are definitely going quarterback. The Browns probably feel like they don't need to. So
Well, let's
the
get into it
Giants,
here. Let's
Vegas.
You think we trade with Vegas?
I think Vegas, as of right now, is the most likely. I think the Browns would want to trade with the Giants more, just because I think they, if they're playing the field and they do have a little bit of a bidding war going on, they only move back a spot and can get a little bit more draft capital back. But we'll stick with Las Vegas in this scenario. So we are
Vegas seems to
offering
be
the
the
second
most-
overall pick.
Yeah, Vegas seems to be the most realistic right now.
Yeah,
So
and we will get back
6.
so 637, 107.
In a
Next year's
future
first.
27. Next year's first or 27's first?
So that's an interesting.
Because 27, you got Jeremiah Smith.
You would have a knock at Jeremiah Smith. You also have a much better quarterback class. Dylan Raiola,
Right.
DJ out of Florida. 27 is going to be a very loaded quarterback class and wide receiver class. And honestly, if they might be willing to do that a little bit more. So yeah, we can do 27's first, and then let's do 24th third.
25 third?
I'm sorry, 26th third.
And what do we probably got to give a little bit more here?
We can throw in
more
pick
back
206.
end. 206 and probably a future because it's only given a 53%. I think we probably have to throw in a future.
I mean, we can force the trade if nothing else, but
Oh, well,
I
how
think
about
that's
this?
fair.
What if we're probably going to get a comp pick for somebody that's going to get hired out of our organization? What if we
We're not
gave-
trading a top 100 pick. If we're trading pick 2, no organization would give them a top.
What if we
100
swap
pick
103 for
along with it.
107, basically? What if we give them 103? And that gets it to 67%.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
It's not the worst.
Accepted.
All right. Perfect.
So we took a trade, so we got the 6th, 37th, 107. So we got an extra second. We got a future third and a 2027 first round pick where you got Jeremiah Smith coming out. We should collect picks trading back, and then next year you can use those picks to get Archie Manning. Yeah.
See,
I think,
I'm not sold on Arch Manning yet because he hasn't played.
well, you got to see him for full. Yeah, you got to see him for full season. So we look at the board here. Shador obviously went number 2.
Perfect.
Travis went 3. Abdul went 4. Will Johnson went 5.
You know what? This is a very that is a very realistic way the board falls. I just want to say that. Cam Ward, Vegas would trade up to get Shador. New York would then be forced to just take the best player, which is Travis Hunter. I could totally see New England picking Abdul Carter, and then the fact that Tyson Campbell is the only player that the Jacks have in the secondary worth a damn, them going the best pure corner with Will Johnson makes sense, and that gives us an opportunity to pick my guy, Mason Graham.
I totally agree with that pick. It is hard to pass on Ashton Genty, but this is a deep running back class. Mason Graham, I think, is a rare 3-tech inside guy you got to get. So
if both Abdul Carter and Mason Graham weren't there, I would absolutely go Ashton Genty.
So here we are, Mike, down at number 33. We got Matthew Golden on the board. We got James
Is he actually
Pierce.
declaring?
I believe so, yeah. I mean, he didn't come back in that game until he was for sure. So I think that signals to me. He's
Okay,
definitely
yeah,
coming back.
run that. So if that actually happens, the Browns are sprinting to the stage to turn in that card. We are going Matthew Golden in this situation, in my opinion. He is somebody that.
Well, now you got and then we got 37 too. So now you got Cam Scatabo, you got Gunnar Helm, Mike Green, a sneaky good edge, Xavier Watts, Tuimoloau, Gray Zabel, Jahad Campbell.
Where do they have? Let's see. Where do they have Josh
Caleb
Connerly ranked? Go to offensive line.
Well, you also have Caleb Johnson down
Cam-
here as well.
Yeah, Caleb
You're gonna
Johnson's
need a
my
running back.
RB2. I'm gonna if it were me, I'm picking Caleb Johnson. If it's the Browns, I think is Josh Connerly available?
I don't think they would take Connerly this early.
He's gonna
Personally.
jump off people's boards as the draft process goes along. I wouldn't be surprised if he's a first-round pick, if not a high second. He actually might. He's in a couple of draft boards. He's LT1. So
they don't even have him in the top 76.
So if we're just talking me.
Oh, Josh Connolly was already
picked.
Johnson. Connolly was already picked.
Oh, okay. So he's already gone up and okay,
yeah,
perfect.
That ain't right.
So if it's me, I'm going Caleb Johnson
over Xavier and Mike Green, and you're still going running back.
I personally would, just because of the prospect Caleb Johnson is. If you're going back to that wide zone scheme and you don't know what Chubb's going to be,
yeah,
he is your bell cow back. Exactly, Marceline. The cat agrees.
All right, here we are, pick 67. And we got Carson Schweisberger, the linebacker is pretty good. We got a tackle out of Arizona, a guard out of Alabama, Lathan Ransom, Trayvon Henderson also there. Maybe go back-to-back backs because you're probably going to need more depth. Isaiah Bond, Harold Fannin Jr.
I could see them doing that in this draft, but not until later. Ooh, Harold Fannon's there.
Harold Fannin. We need a good route runner. I'd say you go tight end or safety, personally. Or O-line. Donovan Jackson's a really good pick.
I think
Bakuba's going to be down there.
Very low in this.
I think you maybe take the shot, maybe try to get Bakuba later. I'd probably go.
Where are we looking at with quarterbacks? I saw Gabriel on here. Where do they have rated the other guys?
Where do I go to?
So you can go scroll all the way up. It should.
Oh, right here. Okay.
Yeah, and then just filter quarterback.
Will Howard at 97. And our picks is we have the 93rd pick.
I'd be happy with Riley Leonard later too.
I don't think Quinn Ewers is coming out.
I don't want him.
You also got Jackson Dart as a late round pick too.
Oh, they have Jackson Dart as a
really low.
So okay, if we go back to all, I'm going. So I know there's a shout out to Jacob Roach for the OBR. He is a huge fan of Carson Schweisinger. Am I saying that right? I think so. Schwessinger. I haven't watched a lot of tape on him, but
I've seen him play. He's pretty good. Personally, I'll be honest with you, Mike. I'd probably go Harold Fannin Jr. Because you're going to be running a lot of the NFL nowadays.
I'm going Harold Fannin. He's one of my favorite prospects.
Yeah, I think with all the 2 tight end, 3 tight end sets nowadays in the NFL, and we needed somebody. I love Njoku, but he's not the greatest of route runners for tight end. This kid here is a freaking baller.
Yeah, he has the highest upside. Harold Fannin Jr. definitely has the ability to be a star in this league. Oh, perfect. And Schweisinger's still there. But so is Makuba. And you've gone pretty heavy offense. You've gone Matthew Golden.
Well, you got Will Howard sitting there, too.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd be taking a quarterback outside of round 4. I just don't.
Should we go Makuba? I think you got to get a safety
I'd go Makuba
first. Yeah, and then we'll see what's here at 107. So, Will Howard's still there.
I'd pick Will Howard.
Or you got Carson still.
I know Schweisinger's still there. That's very.
Tron Allen, Nick Singleton, the running backs from Penn
I think
State.
They'll wait till round 5 to pick a second running back if they plan on doing that. I want them to do that, and I think that's smart. Considering
I think they gotta take. Hold on one second. We should trade for Garrett Wilson, wide receiver for the Jets. I wouldn't be
opposed, but at the same time, if you can get somebody, because here's the thing. The Browns don't necessarily need a wide receiver one. Jerry Jeudy has proven that he can do that. He had 90 receptions, 1,200 yards. How many touchdowns did he finish with? Like 7. So Jerry Jeudy has proven he can be your number one option. We do need a wide receiver because outside of Jeudy, the next best wide receiver is a little bit unproven. I like Tillman, but you definitely want to get a little bit younger there, and I think a high 2 pick. If Alec Manor is there too at pick 33, I would not be mad at the Browns going him, but I expect him to be a first-round pick.
All right, so we took William Howard. He fell.
Oh, no way. All right, that's not going to happen. So we're going to pretend Schweisinger's not there.
I think Cody Simon's really shot out the board a lot. He is very good. He's playing very well right now.
I know you like Cody Simon. I'm not a big Cody Simon
Jake
guy.
Majors, center is a great pick as well. Jay Higgins is a great pick.
Tommy Hill, that's a underrated one. See, I know you like Dominique Jackson.
I think, to me, I'm gonna go either Cody Simon or Jake Majors for center. With the unknown of JOK, I think you got to take a linebacker. And I think Cody Simon, his versatility shown in this draft and his runs, he's been all over, or this playoff, he's been all year really. But he's just the ultimate captain.
Cody Simon would be a good running or linebacker pick. I do expect them to pick a linebacker in this draft.
I think Cody.
I wouldn't be. I'm not upset at that pick.
Cody Simon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that.
And then once we get to our plethora of 6-rounders,
we got plenty,
and we're gonna have more too.
Yeah,
we're gonna have a lot more.
He is still there.
There's no way that we're gonna pretend he's not there because that's not gonna happen. So
Mitchell
go
Evans.
to running backs.
Yeah,
because this is where we would pick another one. So we got. There he is, Raheem Sanders. Done.
You going Raheem?
Oh, absolutely.
Or Donovan Edwards?
Raheem Sanders. Donovan Edwards.
So Mike's going Raheem. I like that name.
Raheem Sanders is an excellent short yardage bruiser back.
He is still there.
Not going to happen. He's not really there.
Not going to happen.
It's not real. So at this point, I'm just picking players I like. And
is
Jason
Sanders?
Marshall Jr. on there?
You want to go Shiloh Sanders?
No. Is Jason Marshall Jr. available?
What position?
Scroll back up. All the way to the top. There he is.
Oh, yeah, there he is right there.
So
yeah, like
Jason Marshall Jr. is the one bright spot of that Gators defense this year. He could easily fit into spot role if you move on from Greg Newsome.
He is still there.
At this point, Nick Nash is there. Huh?
He's still there.
Yeah, that's not real. We're gonna not real.
I'm actually at this point. You're throwing darts.
Ooh, Tonka's there. I kind of like Tonka. He's a little twitchy.
Yeah,
McCoy. Where's some?
I might. Will Shepard. We got a lot of Colorado guys. Let me look at tackle. Ernest Green.
Oh, Xavier Truss. They are super low on Ernest Green. I'd pick Ernest Green.
I'm taking Ernest Green. So 2 more picks. I can't remember making this many 6-round picks.
Oh, they already have our comp pick in there too. Look at that.
He is still there.
Jackson Dart. Come on down.
I'll
pick Jackson Dart. I got 2 7th-round picks. I'd throw another dart at that board. I don't think the Browns would be.
I can't do that to my other tackle. I just can't. Or my other quarterback. All right, so I want to be comfortable.
He's a 4th-round pick. You got to earn your job.
I don't care. It's ability.
We're not picking in the 1st round. I'd draft Jackson. Best man wins. You beat out the veteran. Congrats, and beat out the other guy. Congrats. You're a 4th-round pick, Will Howard. You're brought in to compete.
At this point, how many more receivers do you think we need?
We won't pick another one this late. I mean, maybe for
Will Shepard. Will Shepard's a pretty good deep threat.
If you want to look at what the Browns like to do in the 7th round historically, they pick corners and they pick defensive line. That is what we have done since Andrew Berry has been GM. I'm not even kidding. That's all we picked. Defensive line and corners. That's it.
Stackhouse.
I actually like Slackman a little bit more. Joey Slackman was on a 3rd-round trajectory before Florida's defense just kind of blew apart. Yeah, look at those grades.
Sack number 6, 7 for you.
Yeah, he's a twitchy 3 tech, but he's also look at the run defensive snaps. I actually like Joey Slackman. It's a lot of these Florida guys might be a bit better than we expect just because Florida was so piss poor. I'm taking Jackson Dart here. I'm so sorry.
I'm just going to take Carson just because I feel bad for the guy.
No, he's not real. He's not there. We got to pretend he's not there.
Maybe he did. I mean,
he ain't going to drop that far. I promise you. Oh, Corey Brooks is there. He's nice.
How about we go interior O-line? What do you think of that? Josh Gray.
Joshua Gray. I like him a lot.
We'll go with Josh Gray. All right.
He's also not going to be there.
I'll take him.
We've earned a reward. Major reward.
Poor Carson. Still on the board as we speak. So.
Browns will sign him to be a UDFA. He'll be our starting linebacker in a week. Like Mahamoud Diabate. You know they wanted him so bad. They just didn't have enough picks. And they were like, oh, he's still there? Wow.
They
hit
for
the
Matthew Golden
pick.
F you.
Yeah, this is a great draft. So if this were to happen, and don't pay attention to these grades, folks, because these grades don't matter.
It's PFF. I mean, they're not the greatest. Let's be honest. When it comes to evaluation.
No, they're not. And here, which picks didn't they like? I can't believe they didn't like the Matthew Golden pick. You're getting the 22nd ranked prospect at 33. Nuts.
All right, Mike. Why don't you recap our what we all got here before we got to move on to Ohio State and shit. So why don't you recap here what we did? The magic.
Yeah. So what we did is we traded the second overall pick to Las Vegas for their second round pick. We did a 4th round pick swap with them, and then we got a 3rd in the 26th draft and their 2027 first round pick. And the reason why we went to the 2027 draft to get their first round pick is you're either going to swing at an excellent receiver prospect or an excellent quarterback prospect. The 2027 quarterback draft class is probably going to be as good as last year's, if not better. Next year too, I mean, depending on how the Browns do this following season, in the 2025 season, they may go quarterback. This upcoming quarterback draft class is going to be okay. It's going to be a lot better than this year's, that's for sure. So I really think it should be the move, and it's probably what is at the forefront of Andrew Berry's mind, is to sell that pick to the highest bidder if he can. If not, the other scenario is very different, but we'll get into that at a later date. But yeah, so that's what we did and the picks that we got. So we moved all the way back to 6. Mason Graham was still there. Mason Graham, if you don't know him, watch his tape, because he is a top 5 prospect in my opinion. He's had a 92% run stopping grade since he was a freshman in college, which is insane. Matthew Golden really didn't like that pick, but he's probably my wide receiver 3. I'm really low on Tet. I'm lower on Tet than a lot of people. Matthew Golden is my wide receiver 3. It goes Luther Burden and Mecca, then him. And then we went Caleb Johnson. He's my RB2 in this class. I love what he does. Harold Fannin, excellent tight end prospect. Andrew Makuba, safety that lays the wood. We went Will Howard, which if you're an OSU fan, you probably love the pick. The more I watch him, the more I'd be okay with the Browns taking a flyer on him. Cody Simon's interesting. I know Joseph is super, super high on him, and here he knows linebackers, so I'm at liberty to agree. And then we go Raheem Sanders, good bruiser back. Jason Marshall Jr. I think is super underrated as a slot corner, and then we just took a bunch of flyers on players that we like.
Oh, sounds good. Good draft by us. A+ to me. But
A+ for me. I fixed them. You're welcome. Andrew Berry, hire me. Me. 36, 40 grand a year. I'll help.
Yeah. But we're going to take a 30-second break here to kind of recap. We're going to bring Jersey up here to get into the Ohio State Buckeyes now. It's a Mike Tomlin. But if you don't know already, we got Professional Fan led by yours truly, Professional Mike. If you haven't seen the episodes already, you haven't heard about the show, here's a sneak peek. All right, welcome back. Time to move on to Mike Tomlin and the Buckeyes. Well, not together, but 2 different topics. You know what I mean. Jersey, you there?
Has Ernest Green III committed any crimes? He's one of those Georgia players, you know.
Not that I'm aware of. I'll have to look into that.
We have to do a thorough background check, the whole LexisNexis. We got to really dive into that. Make
Most
sure
of the Georgia offensive linemen are usually pretty all right.
Well, you got to be wary of any of them Georgia players.
Yeah,
A lot of felons and misdemeanors. I mean, there's bail bondsmen that hang out at the games.
Yeah.
Certified hater.
I have to admit, the books on the shelf, the fire going, it looks very studious. You should be called Professor Mike instead of Professional Mike.
I don't have a doctorate.
So what? I'm actually giving you a doctorate, so you have a doctorate now.
Just print it out for me first, would you?
But we're getting to Ohio State here in a minute. I know it's the main thing we want to talk about. But last night, the three of us were together. We watched the Ravens absolutely demolish the Steelers. I know it got a little closer there at the middle of there was a third quarter, Mike, but I feel like the Ravens really had control of the entire game. Did you ever feel like Pittsburgh was ever in the game, Mike?
No, and it was really weird because like they, I keep, I try to be an objective, analytical guy. That's kind of my whole shtick, right? So I was looking for this guy for the Steelers that all these Steelers fans keep telling me is like a defensive player of the year candidate, and like he comes from like an esteemed family of pass rushers, and like he's supposed to wear the number 90, but he was just, I don't know, did he show up to the game? Was he buying glizzies? What was he doing? Because like I couldn't find him. I think his name's supposed to be TJ Watt, who actually it came out today that he hasn't recorded a single trackable stat, including tackles, in 192 snaps. Not since before the Bengals game has he recorded even a tackle. That's your king? That's your king? That's who you've crowned? Okay. Whatever. I'm never
gonna.
As
you can see here, though. Yeah. Yeah, Mike's got their little digs. But a lot of speculation though, Mike, after the game. Pittsburgh obviously fell off a cliff at the end of the season. The beginning of the season, the midpoint, they looked great. Fell off a cliff. Russell Wilson did not look as good. The team did not look as good.
No.
There was leaks about stuff going on in the locker room, and a lot of question marks about what's Mike Tomlin's future. Would he be fired? Would they trade him? Obviously, it says here tonight, came out, he reported won't be moving on. Steelers reported will not be moving on from him, so they won't be the ones to fire him or trade him. However, Adam Schefter, if I can pull it up here in a second, he talked about how the only way any change happens in Pittsburgh, you can see right here, anything that would happen in Pittsburgh involving Mike Tomlin would come with his consent and his consent only. A loss like last night's might further teams to look into it. Pittsburgh hasn't given any indication they want to move on from Mike Tomlin, and this has been the most patient franchise, not just in football, but maybe in sports. When Bill Cowher was struggling at the end, and fans in Pittsburgh wanted him gone, the Rooney stuck with him, and he wound up winning the Super Bowl. There's no indication this franchise wants to move on from Mike Tomlin right now, which was just reported. But this is an organization right now that is going to have to address some issues in the offseason. You also heard Najee Harris last night kind of give some bland answers after the game. George Pickens said he does not like the future of their offense.
No,
a lot of the players. It sounds like Najee Harris is definitely gone, and a lot of the players do not sound optimistic about about the team moving forward.
Why would you?
There was a rumor last year that Mike Tomlin, his goal one day could be potentially to get out and move out west. And do you guys, number one, see Mike Tomlin leaving the franchise?
Honestly, I hope you don't mind if I go first, Jers. But in my opinion, I think it could be good for both franchises. No hate to Mike Tomlin, but like Steelers haven't won a playoff game in 8 years. Like it's almost been a decade since they've won a playoff game. And like at a certain point, like that's not good enough. Like, yeah, they're always competitive. Yeah, they're always making the playoffs. But what does that matter if you're just going to end the season? Every year, it's the same story. They play really well at the beginning and the middle of the season. They start to teeter off. They lose a bunch of games in a row to end the season, and then they get blown out in the first round. And that's just been the playbook. I mean, Steelers fans watching this, you can't disagree with me there. I know I'm a Browns guy, and I was poking fun at TJ Watt at the beginning, but like objectively, you guys haven't really been
That's not their standard.
a real threat in a decade. And I don't think that's the Steelers' fault. I don't think that's Mike Tomlin's fault. It's just like maybe at a certain point, it's just a change of voice, a change of philosophy could like refresh the franchise a little bit. Because the Steelers, especially the past 2 seasons, and maybe you guys would agree with me, they've had weirdly toxic locker rooms. Like there was that weird thing going on with Deontay Johnson and Najee Harris last year, even though they ended up
TikTok in that one
even
year.
at the end of this year, like the weird stuff, like Patrick Queen said some weird comments after the loss to the Ravens. It's just, I don't know what's going on in Pittsburgh. I know they always say culture, guys, but like the culture doesn't seem to be winning. It seems to be mediocrity at this point. And it also seems like the locker room culture hasn't been this old school rough and tumble we're a team kind of thing when you have players regularly showing their ambivalence or just their outright like hate for the team. I mean, George Pickens is out there saying he doesn't have for the offense. Like, I don't even know. I know it can be a little bit of a head case, but I don't know, like,
yeah, that's not good.
You know,
it's not a good sign. Remember, you had the stuff with Juju too, and Cam Hayward kind of made comments.
Yeah.
You know,
and the Chase Claypool stuff. I mean, all of that.
Yeah. Jersey, I'm curious your thoughts on all of this because what do you think with Mike Tomlin and the Steelers?
You know, last night you could see it you could see it in his face when he was on the sideline. I mean, Mike could be right, and I was thinking the same thing. You know, sometimes it just takes things run their course, and it might be good for a change. The one thing I thought about though when I was sitting here listening to you guys talk was, you know, with Roethlisberger gone, I mean, you got to figure after 16, you know, Roethlisberger's on the tail end of his career. Now he's been gone. How many years has he been gone now? 3, 4 years? 4 years?
Since we beat him.
Kenny Pickett for 2 years.
2021 was his last year.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is an offense that lacks a leader, and that there's no leadership on this offense, and that's what the coach needs. A coach always needs that extension out on the field. And I mean, the defense is fine because you got Cam Hayward leading the defense. But
Cam Hayward.
I mean, everyone knows he's the leader of that defense, but that offense hasn't had a leader. I mean, like I said, Roethlisberger was the leader, but he was on the tail end of his career. I mean, he's already looking for the door. So that they really got to find a way. You know, the problem is they got a winning record. They're making the playoffs, so they don't pick high enough. It's hard to get a quarterback.
Exactly.
So
Thank you.
They just don't have any leadership out there. Russell Wilson is just not. He's just not a leader. I don't think he's a leader, at least not now. He sure as hell wasn't coming into Pittsburgh at this point in his career and commanding that offense. You know what I mean? So Justin Fields isn't that guy either. I think if they somehow some way could get a really good quarterback on the field, things would be a lot different in Pittsburgh. I think that's the one thing that's missing. Just the offense just sputters, but again, a coach just has to have that out there. That's an extension of who they are, and so I think that's a big problem. But I mean, it's just you don't know. You don't know what's going on in his personal life. Does he want to just move out west? Does he? I can't imagine wanting to leave that organization. I mean, they're the best owners there is. I mean, they're the most. It's the greatest. That's the most successful sports franchise in the last 50 years. It's the Pittsburgh Steelers.
They have been successful in the past, but they haven't they haven't been anything more than mediocre in the past 10 years.
Well, lots of teams haven't. I mean, Ohio State hasn't won anything in 10 years. I mean, that happens. But what's
Right.
10 years? I mean, the Cleveland Browns haven't won since 64. What's 10 years?
Fair, but at the same time, when at the same time you're a franchise that I think that franchise just needs a new philosophy. It's just a different time. Like their draft picks have been weird the past couple of drafts. They're never a team that will make a big swing or even small swings, really. Like their biggest swing was signing Patrick Queen when, they desperately needed offensive help, and they've never really addressed that either through trade or, free agency signing. They're never a team that does those big splashes, which, I mean, here, if you want to be competitive nowadays, you have to do something in free agency.
Well,
I mean, look at the Commanders. I mean, the Commanders are, about, putting boots to ass right now in the playoffs, and they won 12 games after being a top. You had the top 2 pick. They had the second overall pick last year, and all they did was make some big free agency signings. Had a great draft. But that's not what the Steelers do. The Steelers stick to their guns, which, you're going to be 9-8, 10-7, make the playoffs, but it's going to be the same old song and dance. You're going to get blitzed by somebody who's just better than you every time.
Well, I mean, you could be right, but I mean, everyone knows though it's still a first-class organization, and at least the Roonies are. Is it what it used to be? I don't know. You sit there and you watch these guys that play for the Steelers, these Hall of Famers, and you see them down in Canton, and you see the camaraderie once a year where they're all together. I mean, it's pretty special to watch.
Let me ask you this, Joe. Do you think that camaraderie exists in this Steelers team's locker room right now?
No, that's what I was going to say. I don't know if it's. I don't think it's there. I think it's there
with Cam Hayward.
Old head.
But the offense, really since, it really started with the Antonio Brown thing. It's just things just really started to get really un-Steeler-like. You know
Steelers
what I mean?
love their diva wide receivers, baby. Nothing goes with Pittsburgh like diva wide receivers, like peanut butter and jelly.
Well, you can have them as long as you got the quarterback that could keep them in check. But I don't know. I don't know if that's the case. And if it's not there, then you got to go to who's to blame. Isn't it true that he has no say so over the offense at all? Is that accurate?
That's been a rumor. Well, that's a rumor that some people have reported. I know Carcino for Life on YouTube reported that before. He's got some insight that possibly that he doesn't have as much say over the offense. I don't know how true that is. I'm curious to see. I'm sure there's probably some Steelers insiders that probably be like, "Oh, what do you mean?" So I don't know.
If that's the case, I mean, even if he just has control over the defense has buckled and crumbled the past 6 weeks.
Well, they gave up the most rushing yards.
Well,
in
here though,
last night.
What could have happened is the attrition kicked in the second half of the season because the offense was just trash. It was you know what I mean? Just kind of what the Browns were doing. The defense just ran out of juice.
That's a catch-22 as well. If it's such a good organization, why aren't they giving their head coach the power to make offensive personnel decisions? You know what I mean? Like that in and of itself is a toxic.
I don't know. All I know is, and I don't know how anybody could ever dispute with. I don't care that we're in Cleveland.
History.
But it does, but you can't dispute the Steelers and their organization, those owners. There's no better organization in the last 50 years in all of sports than the Steelers. There's not that's been ran properly. I mean, Mike, they've had 3 coaches in my lifetime. I'm 47 years old. They've had 3 coaches. I don't know if I've ever seen them have a losing season either. I mean, what else could you ask for? We'd kill for that. We would kill for that. We sit here and salute this team that's been absolute trash since they came back in '99, has been the worst organization in all of sports. And we salute and defend their asses. We can't sit here at the same time and say, the Steelers, they're not a good organization. Yes, they are. They're just in a funk. And maybe it is.
I didn't say they weren't good. I just said they were mediocre.
No, I'm just saying you were disputing what I said about them being a great organization, the best organization in all sports. They've been the standard for the last 50 years, and you can't run on 10-year windows, 15-year windows. You got to run. You have to look at an organization for decades. Like if it's been the same owners, that's how you have sustained success. So but the whole thing's about Tomlin. Maybe it is. Maybe it is time for a change. I mean, I thought that last night when you were over. I said, yeah. What's he been there? 18 years now.
Yeah, and
something
when he
like
won,
that.
I
You're
mean,
probably
that was
close.
2000.
When was the last Super Bowl appearance against Green Bay?
2010.
And he was there 2 years before that because he won as a rookie head coach. So he's been there. I'm bad at math. 16-ish years. Yeah, you're pretty much right.
All right, so he may have won with Cowers guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If he won early.
Yeah. Well, I said that last night.
It was all Cowers guys. He didn't.
I would think. All right, 2010. You're the Pittsburgh Steelers. Okay, you're going on your 15th year. It's probably time. It's probably time to make a change. But that's the thing I love about the Runers is, there's a part of me that just loves the loyalty and, they won't fire a guy, but sometimes you start to, when it's time to go. If you're that guy, you start to get the signals. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I believe what Schefter said. They're not going to fire him, but he'll know when it's time to go.
I'm going to.
You know what I mean?
They said that real quick, though.
What's that?
Yeah,
I don't think they're going to move.
I don't think they're going to move on. He said they said. Oh no! Well, Mike was saying they said that real quick, which I think they got ahead of it because there's been a lot of smoke. Probably, Pittsburgh fans are going to probably all. I can't imagine all the stuff that's been out from them since they lost last night. But like the reaction and stuff. But I think I pulled up an article here. It's Fansided wrote today, by Alicia Artula. Excuse me. And I thought this person wrote a pretty interesting article that I actually agree with. And I brought this up last night. Now, the reason why let me finish with this. The reason why I brought maybe Mike Tomlin leaving is because there's a availability out west. The Vegas Raiders are still available. A quick yes or no. Do you guys see Mike Tomlin leaving to go to the Raiders?
I'm going to say a quick no. I can't see him leaving the Roonies to go to Davis.
Mike?
I mean, if they both want a fresh start, there are worse jobs. I would argue that the best job for him would be like Jacksonville. They have some interesting defensive pieces there, and they have a quarterback. And he could pick his coordinators and whatnot and just kind of stabilize that defense. I know there have been reports he wants to go out west, and I think you could go to worse teams. But if he went anywhere, I would think that he would go to Jacksonville. And honestly, Senor Khan, who is the owner of the Jags, is somebody that would send a reasonably high draft pick to the Steelers for Mike Tomlin. I don't think the Raiders are in a position to trade for a coach because ultimately that's what they'd have to do, or at least that's what I imagine the Steelers would want to try to do. And the only organization I could see seriously consider that is Jacksonville.
I think there's a lot of teams that would fire their coach if the word got around the league that Mike Tomlin was looking to make a change for himself. Would Miami get rid of that goon? Would Jerry get rid of his coach?
Jerry's got a weird love affair with Mike McCarthy. It's weird over there.
Yeah, but man, they're not winning, and it's like I think if Mike Tomlin, he's still at the right age, you know what I mean. He can
New York. I can see New York.
I think a lot of teams would fire their coaches if he becomes. I think Mike Tomlin could pretty much go anywhere he wants, really. If there's teams that are, they've been underperforming and have owners that are slightly dissatisfied, they're going to lose their jobs. You know what I mean? He's that guy that can command it. So,
well, not only that, Mike Vrabel just got $17 million this year. I imagine what Mike Tomlin would get if he hit the market. But I want to read this from this article real quick. It says general manager Omar Khan built this roster, ... or he let Mike Tomlin have too significant of a hand in building it. So some people say he had a lot of say in the offensive personnel. Some people say he didn't really, in past years he didn't have much at all. Maybe that shifted. But it goes on to say either way, it's as much as his failure as the head coach. It's his job to plug holes where they exist, and he hasn't done that in some of the most obvious areas. Khan traded DeAndre Johnson away and didn't significantly replace him. He brought in Cordell Patterson and Van Jefferson, seemingly to appease the new offensive coordinator Arthur Smith. Those moves were pointless. The GM hasn't solved Pittsburgh's quarterback problem either. He's done a good job drafting so far, but the Kenny Pickett pick obviously didn't pan out. He declined to pick up a quarterback in either of the last two drafts and go after a high-value free agent, instead of turning to cast-offs like Justin Fields and Russell Wilson. Tomlin has proven he can coach at a high level. The Steelers need to give him a better chance, a better roster to contend. And so I think that's probably the biggest issue is Omar Khan.
Well, yeah. I mean, because there's been some odd picks that are, like I said, not typical with Steelers, which you saw in the past. But here, like they got to do something with their QB situation. I mean, they got to, like Mike said, they've been conservative all these years. Well, they can't be conservative right now. They got to make a change. That not it's just this is a league that we are really the sport, even in college. I mean, big time quarterbacks are taking over. You got to have a big time quarterback to win. So, but especially in the NFL. So, if they would have been a lot better this season had they had a solid quarterback, and they haven't had that shit since. I mean, it's been a long time because even Roethlisberger was kind of shitty his last three, handful of years.
Kind of.
Well, you know what I mean. But I mean, here we would have loved to have him here. You know what I mean. But I'm just saying, he wasn't the Ben Roethlisberger we knew. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No.
But he's still better than any quarterback we've ever had here.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I think we all agree he's probably going to stay in Pittsburgh. He's not going to be anywhere. I think it's more likely to make a GM change, possibly, than the coach.
Real quick, I just want to give an update to the Buccaneers-Commanders game. Baker Mayfield just fumbled a handoff and gave it right back to the Commanders.
Bounced it off the back of McMillan's ass, and it went on the ground.
And Baker's being Baker when it comes down in the big game.
He's turning in the fourth quarter, Baker.
And it tastes like familiar.
What's the score?
It tastes like a Pez dispenser.
13-17 Bucks.
A million times.
But the Commanders are moving the ball up and down the field. They got the ball now. Yeah, but only by 4. So the Commanders now have the ball in
Baker's
Bucs territory. They got the ball at the 13-yard line.
Oh,
so the score here they go.
He now surpassed Kirk Cousins for most fumbles this season with 13 as a quarterback.
That dude has always had bad handles.
13 fumbles this year.
Oh gosh, can't do that going forward.
Wow. I mean, that's Baker Mayfield. I mean, we're
I'll give the guy credit. He actually had a pretty good year, but yeah, you can't fumble the ball like that. That's not good. But I will say that what else was pretty cool, Mike, was we had a WWE superstar give us a shout out this week.
Yes, we did. My boy Maven.
Maven, WWE's former WWE superstar, gave your boys a shout out this week. I have it on deck here. Give me 1 second. Here's our boy Maven. He sent this over to us. I have it. Very nice of him. And so here's Maven giving us a shout out this week. Give me 1 second. Let me get a full screen for you guys. We were pretty thrilled and kind of surprised. And so here's Maven.
Hey guys, Maven here, former WWE superstar. And when I'm not making YouTube videos about wrestling, or when I'm not talking to my partner about videos we're gonna make about wrestling, My go-to has been and will always be sports. But where do I go? Where can I turn to find my sports related needs and content and have that itch scratched? Well, I found the perfect place. Make sure you go to Real Media and get in all of the NFL, NBA. Get your fix. Click like, subscribe. I love what these guys are doing. Hey, if it's good enough for me, I know it's going to be good enough for you. Good luck, gentlemen.
What a
Shout out to
Big
showman,
thanks to
dude.
Maven. Big
Yeah.
thanks to Maven for doing that. And if you guys are watching this, I'll also subscribe and Maven's channel. He has a really, really great YouTube channel as well, where he tells about behind the scenes of WWE and a bunch of really cool stories of his interactions and his time with the company. So if you have any interest in wrestling whatsoever, or even if you don't, I know a lot of people watch Maven's channel and just watch it because he's just so good at telling stories, and he really is. He's just naturally good at it. So yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Maven, for doing that for us. And please like and subscribe to Maven's channel.
His Commanders just took the lead. He's a Commanders fan. His Commanders just took the lead too. Jaden Daniels was threw a touchdown pass to none of the Scary Terry from Ohio State. They now have the lead. So yeah, shout out to Maven. I appreciate you, brother. That was awesome. You might see him on the show down the road, so stay tuned. You might see him over here at the Real Network, or Real Media, as he called it, or he called it Real Media. So, but
that's
shout
what
out
we
to
are
Maven.
now, I guess. Thanks, Maven, for the name.
But I went live the other night and reacted to the Ohio State game at midnight. I was so amped, I just couldn't hold my my energy. I had to come up here and react to it. I thought the Jack Sawyer play was the biggest play I've ever seen as an Ohio State fan outside the Zeke run against Alabama. I thought it was a great game. I thought it was the best game that could have happened to them. In terms of being in a close game, I thought if they would have just waxed Texas like they did the first two opponents, I thought they may have kind of a false sense going into the Notre Dame game. But I thought the way they won, how the game went, how it ended was the best scenario for Ohio State. They found a way to win. I think they're going to go on and beat Notre Dame in the national championship by 2 touchdowns at least. I think Notre Dame's a really good team, but I think as that game goes on, I think Ohio State will have more of the explosive plays in the next matchup. I know they got Xavier Watts at Notre Dame, but I just think their corners versus our receivers on the perimeter, I like us, and I think we have the running backs, obviously, like Trayvon Henderson, who burst that screenplay open at the end of the first half. I think this is Ohio State's year. They got an incredible spiritual component to this team. You could just see a team that has it. They have it, and I think that's why I think they're going to win it. The whole thing. I cannot wait for next Monday night to cap off this incredible playoff run. But gentlemen, your take on the Buckeyes? I'll go to you first, Jersey. What was your thoughts on Ohio State and just this whole playoff run?
Well, here I said early. After that, in between the Michigan game and then the Tennessee game, I told somebody at work, if they respond to Michigan the way they should respond, and they all they had to do is beat Tennessee, and that was it. I said if they beat Tennessee, they're winning a national title, and because it would have been the only way they were going to beat Tennessee was by a response to that Michigan game, and because if they would have came in the same team, they would have lost Tennessee. So, but they responded. They absolutely dominated. They showed who they really were. The team we have been looking for all year. And they go on to Oregon, just absolutely annihilate Oregon. And then here, even the game against Texas. Texas, everyone knows this. Texas is a well-built team. That O-line, their O-linemen, they're all 10 pounds heavier than our O-linemen. Those O-linemen are massive. Every guy was over 330. Defensive line's massive. Got the top corner in the country.
They got top 50 picks on that O-line.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If Texas couldn't beat us, Notre Dame sure as hell is not going to stand a chance. And we had a lot of we didn't play our best game. We had a lot of bad penalties, and we still won by 2 touchdowns. So And that was with Jeremiah Smith with 1 reception or 2 receptions, I think. So that's another thing that Ohio State realized was shit. We still went out and beat Texas by 2 touchdowns without Jeremiah having a big game. And then now the scary thing for Notre Dame is this same team that's caught lightning in a bottle, and being spiritually connected and playing the way they're playing, they know next Monday is the last time. So they're not going to come into that shit half-hearted, man. They're going to come in absolutely on fire. And I just don't. I think it's going to be well beyond 2 touchdowns. Notre Dame's going to just absolutely get embarrassed, and it's just going to be great to see. This is how it should have been. I mean, you knew it's just a great mixture of, you got those 5-year guys. You got all the when Kirk Herbstreit in that Oregon game put that metric up that showed that on the defense how many 4 and 5-year guys were there. That's a great thing to see, and no wonder they're so good this year. That leadership, and Michigan kind of set that blueprint last year with their team. You know what I mean? They had all of those guys that were seniors, and they were playing for their coach. As shitty as what they did, they were still playing for their coach, and they caught fire. So that's one of the things I love about NIL is it now gives these guys they stay back in college. You know what I mean? They don't force the way out. If Quinn Ewers couldn't stay back next year and gets probably $4 or $5 million, he would have opted. He'd be going into the draft. He'd have to. You know what I mean? Even though he's not ready. Even though he's not ready yet. So stay back there. College system's like a farm system now. Players get better, especially for QBs, because what's the point rushing to get out? I mean, you got QBs that play in the 40s now because the league protects them. So, I like what it's doing. Yeah, I like for them to get some control of it where the guys can't hop around so easily. But I think that they certainly deserve to be paid, and if it keeps them in college, 1 year longer, it's great. So, but yeah, they're going to absolutely just absolutely demolish Notre Dame.
Your thoughts, Professional Mike? As the Washington Commanders are one of the worst tackling teams I've seen in a while. Go ahead.
Yeah, they need some help on their linebacking core, but yeah, I look at draft analytics a lot, and when I don't see a lot of players coming out of Notre Dame that are higher than like a 5th round grade, and Ohio State has multiple 1 or 2 round players, I can't see Notre Dame, pushing this thing out other than like an act of God. I know that's a little bit of a intense way to put it.
Well, they do got some good young guys. They got the Love guy who's pretty good, and they got the wide receiver I think's pretty good as well. Mitchell Evans.
I mean, they got some okay. I mean, they're okay. They're fine. But yeah, no, I think Notre Dame's going to get boat raced. I don't think it's really going to be that much of a contest. And who knows, maybe as the Notre Dame, because it's still a young team, maybe it'll be their year in a year or two when some of their young core players are seniors. But, this was always going to be Ohio State's year just because of the makeup of their team. So, yeah, that's where I'm at with that.
The Texas game, that was a national title game Friday night.
Yeah, I really think we've already beaten the hardest teams already. We've already went through them. So I no offense to Notre Dame.
We certainly had the hardest road outside of Penn State.
Yeah, Notre Dame.
Penn State had a cakewalk. Yeah, I mean Penn State had a cakewalk. Notre Dame even. I mean they played a backup quarterback as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers just got stuffed on 3rd and inches, and they might have to settle for a field goal to tie it. Sorry, but
wow,
I mean, even Notre Dame
way ahead of mine.
Notre Dame beat. They only played Indiana, not great, in terms of playoff competition. Georgia with a backup quarterback, and then they played a Penn State team who probably gave that game away, if we're being honest. I thought Penn State gave that game away. Drew Aller had obviously a horrendous pick.
Did not have a good day.
Yeah, and I thought they should have won that game, really. I mean, those two running backs were on fire. But as the kick is, they're lining up for the field goal here, folks. 32-yard field goal.
I think Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame is good. I think Marcus Freeman, and here they got diocese money. Here their game the other night, the Fiesta Bowl. They don't have to split $20 million. They won $20 million. They got $20 million for winning that game. They're not splitting it with a conference, but so they have that to their advantage in one sense. But I think just not being in a conference, in this the way college football is set up now, this playoff system, it's probably going to go to 2 super conferences eventually. Everyone knows that. Just more and more NIL come in. Like I said, they got money. Obviously, it's a diocese, and they get all the money for their bowl games. I just don't know if they're going to be able to compete. And and their philosophy and how they recruit. I mean, it's pretty obvious. The only guys that they recruit are guys typically your guys that you would get at Ignatius, Eds. They don't look to really recruit from maybe inner city or you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so I think a lot of times you miss out on the dogs, those dogs you need on your team that play with an edge. Joseph, you're familiar with that, and your last team when Patterson Park's program blew apart, that was a different brand of players that came over. You know what I mean?
I think Marcus has got a couple. Marcus Freeman recruited my best friend to play for Cincinnati, and he ended up playing for him.
Well, no, I'm saying, but Notre Dame doesn't allow certain types of players. They don't. Notre Dame.
That running back's a dog.
Well, I like that running back too, but I'm just saying.
Linemen usually that are pretty.
I think they're looking for primarily you're straight up all Americans, and that's not a bad thing.
Yeah,
but I just don't think that they're ever going to be able to. They're going to have the athletes.
They're not bringing guys like Georgia and Ohio State are bringing or Alabama.
Correct, they're not.
Right,
they're not. They're not.
Or even Texas.
And I think that philosophy, they're never going to win a national title. Mm-hmm. They're just not going to, especially now. So when these other schools, like I said, they got they got huge money. They got the diocese, but now, your Ohio State, your Alabamas, your Georgias, your Texas, they can legally spend money, and they make more money than Notre Dame does. Ohio State, I think I read their football program makes the highest. I think it's like $360 million a year. It makes.
Yeah.
And so, and you got the biggest fan base. So you got all the money in the world for NIL. So
yeah,
I don't know. Notre Dame, they'll be competitive, but they don't have a chance to ever win.
And let's go to Indiana anyway.
So, well, you know what though, I've known people that have went to that. A couple of Julia's friends that play at Hoban, they went to Notre Dame and they said it's just absolutely stunning. It said it's just an awesome place, just beautiful. Anybody I know that's went there has said that. But it's I don't know. It's just. Yeah, you want to win. You want to be. You want to go to a school where you're going to be developed. These kids, all these three, even a 3-star guy, your typical run-of-the-mill 3-star guys coming out, they got aspirations playing in the NFL. You know what I mean?
Everybody wants to go to the league.
Yeah, but I'm saying that those guys. If you're labeled a 3-star coming out of high school, you're thinking you're going pro. You know what I mean? If you can get to the right school.
Yeah, I knew a couple. I don't know one that made it.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So you're not like Mike's saying. You don't see a whole lot of Notre Dame guys.
A couple actually made it. Yeah,
Now you might have a lot of their guys being engineers and surgeons and shit like that. successful in their own way. But if you have aspirations of playing pro football, then you want to go to Ohio State, Georgia.
Alabama,
Well,
LSU.
no, who knows with Alabama
Michigan.
now, but certainly when Saban was there, but
Oregon.
yeah, Michigan, Texas.
Yeah. What's your guys' I'm curious your thoughts, especially you, Jersey, and Mike, you chime in on this as well. Kind of just a turnaround from Ohio State. Really, I mean, we come out of that Michigan game. I mean, it was doomsday. I mean, I came up here. I was the first guy up here. Like, man, we might have to fire Ryan Day. I don't know if he's built for the job. It just seems like he just can't get it done. Why did that happen? And obviously, everybody was emotional and overreacted that day a little bit. But the standard's the standard. I mean, we expected to win. Where we are now is where we expected to be all year. We didn't see that a month ago. And so, what do you guys think about this? Just this turnaround and just this. I haven't seen many things like this in sports really ever. I mean, it reminds me of the 2015 team that won the national championship. I keep comparing this team to that team because that team got hot late and they just took off and nobody could beat them. I see a lot of similarities with that team with this one. This one does, I think, even a sweeter story just because of where they were a month ago. I'm curious, what do you guys think about this turnaround that you're seeing? It's almost like a storybook ending here.
Well, it's the thing that's the most beautiful thing in sports, to see, a bunch of players like that just at the very end just selflessly play for each other. I mean, and be able to do it week in and week out. And just, you know what I mean? And just dominate. I mean, it's just
right.
It's what it's supposed to be. It's what you're striving for. It's what every coach is trying to find. And here you got this expensive roster, and you're playing Michigan at home. You're thinking, I think they went into that just thinking they just expected to win. Michigan lost a bunch of seniors and got a new coach. I think they just expected to win, and Michigan wanted it more. So you lose at home for the third year in a row. You lose to Michigan for the third year, and you lose at home, and then you have to watch this team try to post their flag up in the center of your field. I just think at that very moment, and Jack Sawyer led it. It was shit or get off the pot moment. It's okay. This is what the hell? What are we doing? I mean, I think that's what happened.
Yeah.
What the hell are we doing? And they made a decision in those few weeks. And I think, Ryan Day, I think his players inspired him. And because he seems like a whole different guy now. And I just think the way his guys inspired him.
His beard.
Yeah, I just think he just seems like he just kind of just let go. He just kind of like he's at peace. It seems like he because last year, remember the thing with Notre Dame, and he's out there yelling about Lou Holtz and stuff like that. Yeah, he just always, yeah. But ever since this Michigan game, I mean, he just seems like he has the utmost confidence. He's just in the way he talks about his team. It's really amazing to see. So, but something
and it's been ultra aggressive
here. Well, finally, that's what's been missing, because when Urban was there, they were always aggressive and they were always running tempo. I remember when you watch because I used to be off Saturday, so I watched every Ohio State game. Ohio State always scored a touchdown on the first drive, and it was always gashing. They'd do it in 4 or 5 plays. You know what I mean? That's how they always started the game. And then that went away for so long. You know what I mean? It's like you got all these athletes and all these Cadillacs out there, and you're just shitting the bed constantly. So it was just, here, play. You got to play aggressive. You always got to be aggressive in anything you do. You got to be aggressive. It's much easier to pull the reins back than try to get people up when you need them to be up. You know what I mean? You got to be aggressive at all times, and you're going to come out if you have that mentality. 90% of the time, it's going to go your way. You know what I mean? And you're not leaving anything out there.
Yeah.
So Yeah, they haven't been aggressive for a long, long time. It was like, was Ryan Day just playing not to lose? You know what I mean? Was he so afraid and so like uptight? Was he playing not to lose instead of just out there trying to stomp teams into the ground?
Right. Yeah, I kind of noticed a really, healthy change in like aggressiveness with their offensive play calling specifically. I'll never forget like talking to Joseph after the Michigan game. I was like, why were we running up the gut against Kenneth Grant and Mason Graham, 2 top 30 players in this draft? Like I was so shocked. I was like, those are 2 NFL caliber defensive tackles and good ones. And we're just like running it up the gut with 2 backup guards. Like they really did change it, and they let Will Howard cook, for lack of a better term, and it's worked out well. I mean, here, Carnell Tate is Carnell Tate, right? Or is it Cardell?
Carnell Tate.
Carnell. Okay, I just want to make sure I was saying it right. Carnell Tate is a wide receiver 1 on a lot of other college teams. Same thing with Mecca Buka, and Jeremiah Smith is arguably the best wide receiver in college football. The only guy who is close to being decent would be like is it Dylan Williams out of Alabama, the other 17-year-old prodigy?
No, it's not Dylan. It's
Ryan Williams.
Ryan Williams.
Ryan Williams, but by most people's account, Jeremiah Smith is by far the.
Oh, I'm sure he's better. I mean, it's just wild that we have.
And Ryan Williams is great, but Jeremiah Smith he might be the #1 overall draft pick that year.
But I agree with your assessment wholeheartedly, Jersey. I think that was elegantly put. Elegantly.
When
I'd sew that on a croissant, bro. I'd put that on a croissant and chocolate drizzle, and I'd sell it for $10 at a Starbucks. That was so eloquent.
Well, the other thing they did that little Christmas recess was they got that O-line in order, and that was the biggest thing. So here, if the way the O-line's playing, they could have ran up the middle on Michigan all day long. But that O-line was just in shambles, and so their O-line coach and Chip Kelly, man, they did a great job. In that 3-week period, getting them, or 2 weeks, whatever time they were off, 3 weeks, did a great job getting that O-line in order, and so they could win in those trenches.
And I think too, what's helped that is a lot of teams run the ball to open up the pass. They're a team they got to throw the ball to open up the run. That's their formula, and I think too, and just the spiritual component too of this team with Trayvon Henderson's leading that locker room, and G. Scott, all these guys, and all 3 of us we all love that personally. As believers, just what's going on in that locker room too. You could see it out on the field. What you see them after the game the other night, what they're all giving praise to Jesus Christ, and just the spirit of that team is very special. I haven't seen anything like it. I don't know, ever from any team. How public they are with it too. It's very special. I love that.
Yeah.
But guess who's in the house? We got Raul's in the house. We haven't seen a while, Raul. I don't know if we saw you last week. He's not on the Andrew Berry trade, Mike. He
That's
said,
"Boo." We're not picking at 2, in my opinion, anyway.
He said, "Raul
6'3" or maybe 7. I don't know if the Jets can offer.
Well, yeah, rewind this. Raul, go back and watch our mock we did earlier in this. When this wrapped
that's
up,
what I think is most likely to happen if I'm a betting man.
But Dad Raul said Boo Berry is scouting for the next Sebastian Janikowski at 2.
Yeah, I was sitting there thinking about that. Was that Cade York? Would they take Cade York with a 3rd-round pick? Is that what it was?
No, he was a 5th-round pick.
Who did? Wasn't he?
Well, either way, it's just as horrible.
Yeah, that was.
You know what I mean? That was crazy. I remember watching. I'm like, what in the hell are they doing?
That sounds like
a kicker in the 5th round. 5th-round picks only have about a 5% chance to sign.
Stop, Mike. If it was another team, you'd be saying they're out of their minds for doing it.
So it's just
Barry's not.
I wonder if
Barry's infallible.
I don't know if Barry even made the pick though.
No, that was they said what was his name?
DePodesta.
No, it wasn't DePodesta. It was the special teams coordinator at the time.
And by the way, the Washington Commanders are in field goal range.
Yeah, they're
not
basically
the
gonna
game
win.
in hand. They might walk this off on a field goal.
But gentlemen.
Oh, wait, Mike. I got one more thing for you. One more thing. I have to ask you this. I'd be done.
Yeah, do it.
By the way, I want to get your. I got to get your reaction real quick too when the Commanders walk this off, if they do. But I got to get your guys' reaction to the iconic play, and so I'm gonna play it real quick, and I'm gonna get your guys' take on it.
Not do or die, but it's close. Pressure comes. Sawyer. No. Sawyer. Oh, scoop and score and dagger from 82 yards.
I love it. Oh, look at that poor man.
You can't script this. Roommates. When Ewers was at Ohio State,
I wish
he spoils his dream.
I wish this clip showed Sark's face as Jack Sawyer was running it back for a touchdown.
Been through this entire.
But oh man. But your guys' take, Mike. I'll go to you first on the iconic play that we.
That was a great play. I mean, good for Jack Sawyer. He raised his draft stock, unfortunately, to a day 2 pick now, or a high day 2 pick. I always thought he was a 3rd round guy, but he's now probably going to be picked in the 2nd round, which is unfortunate because I was hoping he would be there at 67 if the Browns didn't pick a defensive end in the 1st. So good for Jack Sawyer, though. He's going to turn that into more money for himself. And poetic that he did that to his former roommate. And again, I really wish it was the clip of Sark's face as Jack Sawyer was running back because it's beautiful. It's so funny.
Jersey, your take on the where does this rank on your all-time favorite plays in Ohio State? Just the moment itself.
It might be bigger than the Zeke play because Texas get ready to score to tie the game. It's the 4th quarter. It's the semifinal. It's 4th down. The move they put on to get past the right tackle was awesome. He causes a fumble. He picks it up on a bounce, runs it, 90 yards for a touchdown. Great job by Sonny Styles too, blocking that receiver. But I think it might be in my lifetime. I'm sitting here trying to think of another play. That 03 championship game that's the greatest football game I've ever seen. But that might be the biggest play.
I'll look at that in a second. Hold on, Mike.
But
Mike, where do you rank that all time when you're?
I mean, you know me. I'm more of a draft guy, so like I get plugged into college football a little bit later than most. But as far as Ohio State plays, I mean, it's up there. Just the fact that the first college football playoff is what gets you to the natty. We'll see what kind of plays are made moving forward in the national championship because there might be something cooking there.
I would say, Mike,
I didn't mean to cut you off.
Sawyer and even the Michigan game through this game, and I'm sure you have a monster game next week. He's played some of the best football, consistent football. I mean, he has absolutely dominated the game. He's batting down. I mean, what they say, he's batted down like 4 or 5 passes just in the last 3 games. I wouldn't be afraid to take him in a 1st round. I think he may have elevated himself that much. If somebody like late in the 1st round needs a defensive end.
If this was any other draft, I'd agree with you.
Yeah, he's certainly 1st round talent. Oh my gosh. And he's an Ohio State defensive end. If this was any other
draft, I'd agree with you. This is one of the deeper defensive end classes. Otherwise, I would agree with you. He's definitely a high day 2 pick now for me, for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, like if I'm
so many dudes, Joe. There's so many dudes.
Mike. But how many of those dudes played for Larry Johnson at Ohio State? It's a factory for defensive ends.
Not a lot, and that's why the fact that they have more impressive stats and moments is even more impressive. In my opinion.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, you look at all these guys that are in the league that play defensive end at Ohio State. Who got them there? You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. These receivers. So these corners, there's certain things Ohio State's very, very good at. I think Jack Sawyer right now is playing as good as any defensive end I've ever seen play at Ohio State. What he's been doing these last 5 games.
He's a first-round talent. He was the man when it came out of down in Columbus, the 5-star. To me, he's Jack Campbell from 2022, the linebacker. Slept on, underrated. Somebody's got to take him in the first. He'll end up being a great player for him. That's what he is to me. But
I think he'll pick 42. Is why.
Where do you guys? But where does that rank on your all-time plays in Ohio State history? We think I got it second behind the Zeke one. What do you guys got it at real quick?
2 for now.
Behind Zeke.
Yeah, Zeke's number 1.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say I think that one.
Really?
Yeah, I think that one. Zeke just did what Zeke did. What he does, you know what I mean? Jack Sawyer doesn't normally return balls 90 yards. I mean, if you look at here, like I said, both were semifinal games, okay? But this game, they're getting ready to come down, tie the game, 4th quarter, it's 4th down. I mean, to make that move like he did, cause the fumble, pick it up off one bounce, and then return it all the way. That's pretty damn impressive. So
it was. Rose said, "Don't sleep on Notre Dame. Georgia and Penn State aren't stiffs." Shout out to Jon Snow Targaryen.
You know nothing, Jon Snow
Targaryen. No, I'm glad
I'm
you're
asleep.
here, Jon Snow.
Very.
I just had to. I had to say it. No, that's actually a really good point. Jon Snow Targaryen.
Sign Kirk Cousins, Raptor, Bill Carter, Travis Hunter. DM might try to pull it Archie anyway.
I don't hate what you said.
Working.
Rewind the show, like what Joseph was saying earlier. We actually kind of went through a mock draft of something similar as to what you're talking about, John. So, big Game of Thrones guy myself. I've been enjoying the prequel series.
Hold on, here we go. 3 seconds left.
Hold on.
Commanders got the ball.
I can't watch it.
The game-winning field goal. Predict? You think he makes it, Mike?
I don't want to predict anything. Did it hit itself in? It's good. Cancun on 3, Baker. 1, 2, 3.
Hold on. Oh, you're ahead of me. So 37-yard field goal for the win to walk off in Tampa Bay. And he doinked it in. It's good.
Cancun on 3, Bake. Cancun on 3.
Mike, you're I know we got a fellow Bucks fan and part of the fix damn a lot. He was talking to you last week about the Bucks, and I'm gonna let you take the floor, Mike. Instant reaction.
Dan, you were making fun of me because Baker ended up beating the Saints, one of the worst teams in the league, who was starting a 5th-round rookie in Spencer Rattler, because Baker, struggled to almost beat Spencer Rattler and a Chris Olave-less Saints team. But they ended up, turning it around. No, he just had to lose to the other rookie in the playoffs, Jaden Daniels, even though they had home field advantage. Baker Mayfield. Yeah, I mean, he's a good quarterback for the NFC South. He's going to continuously win that horrible division, and he's going to get bounced by the wild card team that's always going to be better than them because the NFC South is a joke. You put Ohio State in the NFC South, they fucking might win that division. So here's the thing, Dan. Enjoy your stupid little maroon jersey, your stupid little Baker Mayfield jersey. After this contract finally rolls out and Baker's got to go sign a 1-year to the Jets or something, and then his career can finally die, and he'll just be that scrappy guy on College Game Day for the Sooners announcer team. You can always at least listen to him. Good for him. I'm glad Mike Evans got another 1,000-yard season, though. That was good for him, wasn't it? I'm sure he'll be able to talk to his girlfriend about that while he's in Cancun watching the rest of the playoffs, watching Jaden Daniels. Rookie. This is a team that won 3 games last year, baby. Went to your house, took over your trap. Sad. Sad.
Took over your trap.
Took over his trap, dude. Bobby Wagner out there, 40 years old, stuffing Baker. Baker was running RPOs out there. What the fuck are they doing?
Yeah,
Why they got Baker Mayfield running an RPO like bro's Lamar out there. He runs a 4.8.
On a good day. On a good day, he runs a 4.8. On a good day, he runs a 4.8. I was watching that fourth quarter. We were talking. I don't know why they were running him up the gut on the quarterback. I don't.
So
when did this guy turn into was he Mike Vick?
Well, especially with 13 fumbles on a year too.
Yeah, I don't understand that at all.
There's another stat to add to Baker. Since he's joined the Bucs, he still leads the league in most interceptions per year. 26 interceptions since he joined the Bucs, which, just so you know, is only 2 years now. So that's 13 interceptions per year if you're a math guy. And then 13 fumbles this year to add to that. But no, excellent. Yeah, franchise quarterback for sure. For sure. Yeah. I can't wait until Mike Evans retires and Bucky Irving isn't there or they can't afford the offensive line. See how he is. No. Cancun on 3, baby.
Who's in
1, 2, 3, Cancun.
Cheesecake.
Hope you enjoyed the playoff game, Dan. I sure did.
Go Buckeyes. Go Bucks.
Go Commanders. Go Commanders. Go Commies, dude. I hope they win it all. No, you know what? I hope they don't.
I got the
I
Ravens.
hope they get blown out next week, just to make the Bucks loss look worse.
But well, you guys got any final words here? You want to tell me like, subscribe, and share?
You got to like, you got to subscribe, you got to share, because we are putting out preem NFL NBA content for the rest of the season. We both have our own shows. You're watching The Reel right now, which is a little panel of all of us. And then I myself run The Professional Fan, which is a free agent and draft analysis, which since the season's pretty much over for most of us, if you're into the draft, if you're into free agency, check us out. I'm going to be dropping the next episode this week. It's going to be about the best tight ends in this draft. Check out last week's episode where I talked about the best running backs. But yeah, if you like this content, it's good enough for Maven Huffman, former WWE superstar, current YouTube star. Subscribe to Maven's channel as well. And yeah, like, subscribe, and share. It means a lot to us.
Yeah, he said Browns could beat Kent State or Valley Forge High School.
I'm such a hater.
Shout out to him. But Jersey, any final words before we get out of here?
Like, subscribe, share, because Maven says so. You guys better listen to Maven.
That's right. You better listen to Maven. You know what? We're gonna go out of here with Maven. How about that?
Thanks, Maven.
Yeah. Yeah. Just listen to Maven. You know.
Hi,
and, hey, Mom. And
Good show tonight.
What's that?
Good show tonight, everybody.
Thank you.
You want to tell me to like, subscribe, and share, Mom?
Like, subscribe, and share. It's an awesome show. And go Bucks.
Yeah, go Bucks. That's the most important.
Ohio State.
But we're gonna let Maven take it out of here, guys. We'll see you guys next one. I'm saluting, Mike. You saluting? You saluting, Jersey?
I'm saluting.
All right.
I'm saluting Maven.
We're out of here.
He still does his eyebrows.
We're out of here. Go.
Hey guys, Maven here, former WWE superstar. And when I'm not making YouTube videos about wrestling, or when I'm not talking to my partner about videos we're going to make about wrestling, my go-to has been and will always be sports. But where do I go? Where can I turn to find my sports-related needs and content and have that itch scratched? Well, I found the perfect place. Make sure you go to Real Media and get in all of the NFL, NBA. Get your fix. Click like, subscribe. I love what these guys are doing. Hey, if it's good enough for me, I know it's going to be good enough for you. Good luck, gentlemen.